Welcome everyone to the Everything Show. I am your host, Matrixlord212. So, the reason for this episode of the Everything Show is very, very important, and it got me thinking, okay? This is episode 2289, and this episode is going to be focused on a sort of what if question that's going to be posed. And I'm going to do a series on this on the Everything Show. So recently, uh, Geeks Assembled had made a post on Twitter claiming that I only started Doctor Who in 2005. Now, I laughed at this because, again, I've been watching Doctor Who since I was 5 in kindergarten. And I have been a writer for a long time before the 21st century. Okay. When I was a kid, I had always done stuff with writing. I had, in the fifth grade, wrote a letter to President Ronald Reagan and got a response trying to save the whales and telling how much the whales meant to me. Uh, I had stuff published in Back to the Future Fan Club magazine where I talked about the theory of Marty McFly in Back to the Future 2, how he could exist, which they called Marty McFly 2. And I also mentioned that I was a huge Doctor Who fan. My sister would tell you I'm a huge Doctor Who fan. My cousins would tell you. My own children who were born in 1998 and 2000, I got into Doctor Who with Sylvester McCoy, Seventh Doctor, and I let them watch Battlefield. I let them watch The Happiness Patrol. Let them watch Remembrance of the Daleks. I started them with Sylvester McCoy, and there's been stuff throughout my life, evidence that Doctor Who was always part of my life. And I could interview countless people. I could go into Jim Hanley's universe, JHU Comics, and talk to the owners. And they will tell you in 1987, they sold me Doctor Who stuff. And when Doctor was canceled in 89, I was going to them and I was buying Doctor Who magazine. I'm like, whatever you have, I'll buy whatever Doctor you have because now that it's off the air, I need to have Doctor Who in my life as much as possible. And I started buying the Marvel comics, um, Doctor Who stuff, the back issues from them, and I wound up going into the bookstores in the Staten Island Mall, and I bought the Time Worm Saga when that happened, and they came up with all these Target novels and these Doctor Who novels and stuff like that. So I could interview countless people. I could pull articles that I've written in the past. I could pull newspaper articles that I've been in because I've been in the newspaper way before I did my first video on YouTube. And a lot of people maybe don't know that. Um, so I did my books before I did my first video on YouTube. I was in the newspaper interviewed when I was a video game manager. I was in the newspaper talking about the PSP. I was in an interview when I worked for KB Toys, interviewed in KB Toys, like in the newspaper. So I've been in newspaper so many damn times that before I was even a published author, when I was just writing stuff here and there, and when I was on forums and stuff like that, like I used to be on forums before it's ridiculous. So the reason why I'm doing this everything show is because the episode title is 2289, so reminiscent of 1989. And I was just really thinking about what would happen? I did a post on Twitter because Geeks Assemble post got me thinking. What if it was possible that somebody were to travel back in time to my life and prevent me from watching Doctor Who when I was in kindergarten? How how would that unravel me? And what would I become? What do I think I would become? Right? I mean, Sharon knows me forever, right, Sweets?
Yep.
Have I always watched Doctor Who when I was a kid?
Yep.
You could ask her, and I know her since
12.
age 12. 12! Age 12, she knows me, and she knows I'm into Doctor Who. How long ago was that? 80s?
Yeah.
Yeah. She knows me since the 80s, and I've been into Doctor Who. So Geeks Assemble making a post on Twitter saying that they're saying a fact that I only watched Doctor Who since 2005. That's a paradox because my girlfriend right here tells you otherwise. And I could even get my sister, my children that I got into Doctor Who before it came back in 2005. Sweets, don't you remember I even have the newspaper, right? I saved when Doctor Who came back in 1996 on Channel 5. I have that in the closet.
Yeah.
So, it makes me want to find the Back to the Future article that I was in the magazine too, because I was even in Marvel Comics letters page of Todd McFarlane's run. So, like, there is evidence everywhere known to man that I've been watching Doctor Who since I was 5. But the reason, and I'm trying to wonder why Geeks Assembled attacked me, but then I remember that when there was a Whovian Tube War years and years ago, everybody attacked Matrixlord212. And then groups started, but they were part of other groups before that. So there were enemies of mine that became Geeks Assembled that basically were part of the Whovian Tube War also. And I guess I was joking around, but I was like talking to my members, but I guess I forgot some because like I took out just about the majority of the bad Whovians out there, and they lost their YouTube channels and everything else. There was a few stragglers and a few survivors of the Whovian Tube War. No one ever canceled me, by the way, or destroyed me, but they survived in the recesses of the void or whatever. But I guess that's why I wanted to give the opportunity to Lee Wilson to reach out to me because he's the one that is the leader of Geeks Assembled. And if I recall, because I was talking to my members, if I recall, he used to be friends with Pissy, with Michael Shannon. And for some reason, he never liked me. I remember when I was trying to be part of all these Doctor Who sites, he tried to ban me from every type of Doctor Who site there was back in the day. For some reason, he was very jealous of me, and I don't know why. He hated my guts. Now, I don't even think he ever appeared. I don't know if he appeared. I have to ask Connor if he ever appeared on the Real Whovians, but he never liked me. He hated my guts. And I really don't know why. Because I don't think we battled. I mean, these people went after me. So, but anyway, I don't want to go off topic. I sent it in. I really wanted to know, why Geeks Assembled decided to join Noel the Tartazone in a war with me about Doctor Who on Twitter. And I'm really curious about that lying statement, being that I could prove it beyond a shadow of a doubt that I've been a Doctor Who fan since I was 5 in publications, in people interactions between my girlfriend, my children. My children were born in 98 and 2000. My sister, I have damn receipts still because I save everything. And I have articles that I talk about what got me into writing in Doctor Who way before 2005. So, I mean, that could be a legal issue, if anything, for someone to make a flat out blatant lie like that on Twitter. because that's slander. And again, I just proved it wrong. So that could be a thing if I wanted it to be. But I want to give them the chance, Geeks Assembled, to have a nice little chat with me on here. So I'm going to try to be as calm and professional as possible, even though they pissed me off just recently. But anyway, this got me thinking, what would I be without Doctor Who? So if a time travel were to travel back in time and prevent me from seeing Doctor Who at age 5, what role models would shape me? Like, what did I watch or experience in the past that shaped my character besides Doctor Who, right? Okay, so growing up, um, I always looked up to my father. My father was in the Vietnam War. He was a soldier. He was in the army, and I kind of wanted to be like my dad in every way. My dad didn't want me to be like him in every way. He made sure that I didn't join the military because I probably would have. Okay. So with Doctor Who in my life, Doctor Who taught me that you could be a hero without a gun. You could be a hero with words. Interesting. And it kind of taught me that I could be a hero. I could help people by motivating people, writing books and whatever. And I didn't need to be like use weapons. And again, at one point in time, I wanted to be a cop also. And another influence of that was my godfather, which was a great detective that he caught one of the biggest serial killer in the world, in you know ever. So at one point in time, I wanted to be a cop, and I remember my father had my uncle sit down and talk to me to make sure he drilled it in my head that they did not want me to be a cop and why I shouldn't be a cop. So if Doctor Who wasn't in the equation, right, and I always wanted to be a good guy, a good person, I would have probably been in the military because I would have, always loved my country. I would have probably been a cop. And if I wasn't doing even those two things, growing up, like my father taking me to see everything, I always wanted to learn karate since the Karate Kid, right? I always joke about it with Sharon, like, oh, she can kick my ass, black belt over there. But like, I always wanted to be a karate. I even said, oh, even at this age, I would still do a whole series on YouTube and I would try to train to be in karate. Like, why not at this age? Who cares, right? So that was always in my past. Like, I wanted to do that, but I didn't do that, right? So if Doctor Who was the huge part of my life that got me into sci-fi, right? So if you take Doctor Who out of the picture, I might not have become into sci-fi at all. I probably wouldn't have saw anything to do with science fiction. Like it wouldn't have pushed me into, anything. Well, actually, no, that's not true because I did see Star Wars when I was a kid in 1977. I was 3. Um, but I probably would have been in Star Wars. But I don't know if I would have been as much into sci-fi if it wasn't for Doctor Who, though. I don't even think I would have been into Star Trek if it wasn't for Doctor Who, though. So it's kind of a weird question about it. Would I be into Star Trek without Doctor Who? I don't know. That's a weird thing. Star Wars would still be there probably because I loved it since I saw it. That was like one of my first movies. My first movies were Star Wars, Mary Poppins, and a Godzilla. The Godzilla one where there was like the big tower of Godzilla with the aliens. And Singing in the Rain was like the first musical that I liked. So I was always fascinated with umbrellas from Singing in the Rain and, Mary Poppins and all that. And if you notice on my covers, there's always like the character has the umbrella. That's like a homage. So, it's Marvel. So anyway, what would I be? I would probably be into martial arts. I probably would learn karate, and my father would probably not be able to um, convince me otherwise. Without Doctor Who in the background, I probably would keep pushing my father to be a cop or to be in the military and not listen to him because like I wouldn't have anything else to fall back on like when they don't want me to be certain things. Well, I had the Doctor Who teaching, so I'd be like, oh, okay, well, I could be the hero, or I could be a good person, and or I could be a writer because of Doctor Who. So yeah, without Doctor Who in the background, I would probably be a cop. I would probably be in the military. I'd probably learn kung fu or karate. Um, would I be more hands on than like would I be like a thug? I hope not. Like would I be without using my brain? Because Doctor taught me to use my brain, you know. So would I be more of like a hands-on, like or fighting or different things or what? I mean, but then Spider-Man taught me great power comes great responsibility. So Spider-Man was like Marvel was always part of my life too. There's a lot of things that shaped me. Doctor Who, Spider-Man, Marvel, Transformers, a lot of GI Joe, a lot of stuff shaped my life. Um, but would I be into the sci-fi aspect? That's the question. I mean, I did love Star Wars, but would I? And I would, watch Empire and all that. But would I be as much into sci-fi if not for Doctor Who? I don't think so. I might have just been a Star Wars fan, but I don't think I would have gotten to time travel because I wouldn't have known Back to the Future. I wouldn't have gotten to Back to the Future if not for Doctor Who. So I probably would not be into time travel stuff. I would probably just be isolated to Star Wars, and I probably would not be involved in any of this other stuff. Doctor Who kind of opened up the doors to everything in my life. So what else would it be? Um, I mean, when I was a kid, I was in a play um, in fifth grade, and I played the first aide to the president. It was this play, and I remember everybody was laughing. I was on the stage and everything. And when I met Sharon, I was in performing arts, but I was always silent kid. Remember?
Yeah.
I did this whole thing in front of the classroom, to which new energizer, yeah. So I wanted to be an actor at one point in time too, um, because my father was into photography and he was a photographer as well as a writer, and he used to interview celebrities and he used to work for the Journal American newspaper. I probably would have followed in his footsteps. I probably would have been a photographer. I mean, I did. He did buy me cameras and the Polaroids, and I always take pictures and stuff like that. And he always bought me cameras. So I would be probably a photographer. I would probably go more into the other stuff if Doctor wasn't around. I probably would have been a photographer. I probably would have worked for a newspaper. I probably would have been a writer still, maybe. Well, maybe not because no, I think I wouldn't have been a writer because I think I would have probably been a photographer because Doctor Who kind of got me into all that. So I wouldn't have been a writer, but I would have been a photographer probably. Um, yes, it's an interesting take on. I mean, I'm kind of glad that Geeks Assembled pissed me off with that stupid post because it got me thinking about this. Like, what would I be without Doctor Who? And it also got me to realize too that I'm not doing enough of everything shows for anybody to see what I did growing up besides Doctor Who, you know? And as much as I was heavily into Karate Kid, um, I did not watch the new show. Um, what? What do you mean? I'm muted for 20 minutes. What? Oh, you scared the shit out of me. I was like, oh my God. You scared the crap out of me, dude. I thought that this whole podcast was going on for 20 minutes with nobody hearing me. So, yeah, unknown is in the chat. He's my former video game advisor. When I'm competition, tell me what games to play and everything, so I can be in competition. Unknown knows like these distractions mess me up, especially on Twitter. Me and him have talked about that. When I'm trying to do my gaming and I'm trying to do Demon Souls, I'm getting these distractions, right? Unknown with Noel and now Geeks Assembled made their post, but I was actually playing video games, and this morning, disgraced. Why are you disgraced? Who disgraced you? I didn't disgrace you. I always talk very highly of you. So little known fact. I probably, and everybody knows, I probably didn't need a gaming advisor because I just was lazy myself. Because I'm like, I could have did the research on what games to buy, whatever, but I was just lazy. I got lazy sometimes. But Unknown became my game advisor, telling me, looked out for me and tell me what games to buy and what games I should play and not play. And at some point in time, unfortunately, what was it about? It was about, I forgot. Was it about Paul Lamb that you and I had a falling out? I was. What happens is when somebody pisses me off, I tend to be a super dick, right? Like a real dick. When somebody, okay, I'm sorry. Anyway, sometimes I'm a dick, and I understand that, and he knows that. And I'm not a dick, but I become a dick sometimes, especially when people piss me off. So I really got to work on that because but anyway, reason why this thing is, what would I be without Doctor Who? I was always a gamer. So ever since I was a kid, I would still be a gamer without Doctor Who. In fact, maybe I would even say that I would probably be in competition way earlier. Or not? No, because the kids came into the picture and I gave up gaming. So no, I wouldn't be in gaming. I wouldn't be in competition. It's like it's somewhat weird trying to talk about your life. What if you deleted stuff from your life, and then what would you be? It's kind of hard to, would my timeline happen the way it happened without Doctor Who? Probably not. Probably would be completely different. Probably wouldn't have anything. Nothing wouldn't be the same. Don't give any time travelers ideas, by the way, to go travel and mess with my timeline, please. But yeah, that would really. Well, there's so many chapters in my life, right? When I decided I want to be #1 gamer in America, right? That was a new chapter, right? When I really wanted to, see what I could do, sort of like piloting the Enterprise for the first time. I wanted to see how fast it goes, see what the ship is capable of. I wanted to see what I was capable of gaming wise, right? So that was a new chapter for my life, is to go headlong into gaming heavily, right? And also at the time there was trolls and stuff too, and I was getting fed up, and I kind of wanted some. I think Noel was battling me back then too, and I kind of just wanted to get away from the whole Doctor Who Whovian thing. And I went heavily into gaming, but yeah, it's crazy. Crazy stuff. But I'm still into gaming. Gaming would still be part of my life. Um, but it's just an interesting thing to think about what my life would be without Doctor Who, pretty much. Um, so we could also talk about gaming. I've been playing Demon Souls, and it's funny because like all these people want to make assumptions on what Matrixlord212 is. They want to tell you what it is. I even found it funny how the AI on Google was like trying to tell me what Matrixlord212 is doing, like when asked. And I'm like, oh, really? Because I'm Matrixlord212, so that's interesting. Like, that's totally wrong, by the way, but okay. Um, like, everybody wants to tell me what I would do or what I'm doing. So I lost my ranking, and I always played AAA stuff too, and Unknown knows that, and Unknown knows that anytime I went for a AAA title, I lost my ranking, right? And he would always have to work harder to tell me how much more games I needed to beat because I lost my ranking. So, he knew that when I did Crash Bandicoot, I'm going to lose my ranking. And I did. And he knew when I did Crash Bandicoot 2, going to lose my ranking. And I did. And Crash Warped and, playing Tekken 8 and, you know, Bloodborne Platinum, going to lose my ranking. But in this case, I lost my ranking. And I decided, okay, well, now that I lost my ranking, and I was really aggravated, I'm going to do a AAA title. So it was like the reverse, where I started going heavily into Demon Souls and didn't really play hardly anything else because that's all I could see is Demon Souls. And Sharon knows I've been playing that game every day, tons of hours, and I beat the flame lurker in the wee hours of the morning. That was it the wee hours in the morning? No, it was last night, I think. Yeah, last night before was the wee hours in the morning I beat him. Still on 4th of July. So I'm like playing that heavily. And then people were asking me, well, what about, competition? What about, and I'm basically not like my focus is when I'm playing like a AAA, like that's it. That's what I'm playing. I really hardly thinking about anything else. And I'm technically not in competition right now because I am focused on the one AAA title. Now, will I go back into gaming competition? Probably. Um, Probably this week, a couple days, maybe. Who knows? But right now, I'm focused on Demon Souls. I'm gonna get the platinum no matter what. I don't give a shit. And I had all these notebooks filled up with who am I gonna fight next and my strategy. Um, but moral to the story is with this podcast is yes, and this is going to be this is going to be a topic for future everything shows because it's basically going to show what I do without Doctor Who. Because some people on my channel are this is a foreign concept to them about me being into anything else other than Doctor Who. So it'd be interesting to maybe show some stuff to people that they don't know about me, or stuff that I loved that I haven't talked about in a long time. Um, and it would be an interesting experience for everyone in the community to see what I've done throughout my life, um, growing up and my accomplishments and stuff like that. So this Who list, you know, topic will continue on the Everything Show, and that's basically the whole point of the Everything Show is to focus on stuff other than Doctor Who. But I felt it was fitting because of the number 2289. but Doctor Who ended in 89. But you know, so yeah, that's what's got me thinking. I really want to. I don't think we have Netflix now, but although my phone service says they're going to give it to me for free, I think it's weird. But if I do have Netflix, then I could watch Cobra Kai. And I'm sure I would be getting into Cobra Kai heavily because I, was a huge fan of the Karate Kid growing up and going to the movies to see that. So, I would be talking about the Karate Kid on the Everything Show. Probably will re-review Karate Kid, all of them, all the movies, and then go into Cobra Kai. I would think, and basically show all the stuff that I loved growing up. You know, and that will be the thing. Is I'll focus on all different fandoms of stuff I loved growing up, and then talk about that as part of the Who list storyline for this topic series, multiple series. And I decided I'm going to be doing multiple. This just gave me crazy ideas for 5 YouTube channels. This whole post by Geeks Assembled. And I'm gonna do over 100 videos between live streams and videos and stuff like that. And I'm gonna focus on the whole Doctor Who, non-Doctor Who stuff, and basically focused on some channels like the Who Musos is the hater aspect of wanting to eliminate Matrixlord212. I mean that exists still in this day and age, and Geeks Assembled just jumping into the fray today, to go after me was like a huge mistake on their part. But um, I am open-minded, and I do want Lee to contact me, Lee Wilson. And I'm not gonna, if I'm gonna have him on air, I'm gonna be the best podcaster, professional, and I'm gonna look at myself as like the third person, and I'm not going to attack him and stuff. I'm out of open mind to see, you know, how I piss people off, how this hatred started, why this hatred continued for over a decade to where prompted this behavior today. And I'm also, I've had my members have been coming back on the Rehobians. Old Doc returned, and a lot of people are returning. So I'm going to have some of my old members talk to you as well. And, they've been doing podcasts with me for over 13, 14 years. So they're the experts on me, right? So there you go. They could tell you a lot of stuff maybe you don't know. So that's going to continue. So the Real Beans cast and the Everything Show is going to be a multiple crossover event, over 100 videos / live streams / podcasts / like all 5 channels will focus on the whole Geeks Assembled stupid post that just got it wrong and blatantly lied about me. And it's going to be an interesting thing. So it's not going to necessarily be negative. I'm going to use this to show Okay. I didn't know what the hell happened. Am I back? I'm back. Oh my god, what the hell? Sorry guys, I don't know what the hell that was, but that was the first time for everything, I guess. Back on. All right. So, yeah, let's take a look at this post from the reason why this whole thing started. Um, and again, it's just really stupid that it's very stupid when people go after me and not know what they're talking about. Like my father always said, like well, it's just know what you're saying before you open your mouth, right? Like that's like a saying my father has always said. Know what you're talking about before you open your mouth, right? Because if you're going to open your mouth and if you're not going to think things through, you're going to get ripped apart, right? So let's try to look at this as a enemy that has been in the background for a while and was part of the Juventud War before their group was created, like or some members or something. And why now? Why return out of the blue to attack me when I'm in a battle with Noel Tartazone? Uh, well, this is what Geeks Assembled uh, has said on Twitter, which uh, they have a lot less. They have less followers than I do, but they started way after me. But there are people in there that just don't like me or been enemies. So a well-known fact. All right, let's see. What's the well-known fact from the community? You only discovered Doctor Who with 2005 reboot. Ask anyone who has been involved with you and your casts. Um, so that's a blatant lie from Geeks Assembled. Uh, and I have to say this because when you put something in print, you're liable and you're creating a slanderous comment, defamation of character against me, and slander against me. This could be a legal issue where I could sue the shit out of you because basically, as a writer, I have had stuff printed in the newspaper as well as um, stuff in magazines showcasing my connection with Doctor Who before 2005. I've talked about how Doctor Who made me into the person I am today and made me into a writer. And I have been a writer in the 20th century. That's right. Before the year 2000, I was a writer. I was writing. I had got stuff printed in Back to the Future Fan Club magazine, in Marvel Comics letters page, in forums to do with Marvel Comics, and in other stuff. I've been in the newspaper numerous times before 2000. Okay. I've been talking about, like, I was in retail in newspaper. I was manager in retail in newspapers. I was talking about me being a writer. I had talked about in different publications that I wanted to write a book one day and that Doctor would shape my life to be a writer. So there's all of that. Now, let's just say I didn't have any of that as evidence. Well, there's Jim Hanley's Universe, which I've been collecting straight through. I was until recently. My comic book collection, and they sold me, and they know what they sold me. The owners would tell you, and when they weren't the owners and they were actually workers there, they would tell you that I've been buying Doctor Who since 1987. I've been buying Doctor Who magazine. I've been buying Doctor Who's comics. I was buying anything related to be Doctor Who since 1987. I even have the goddamn receipt somewhere because I'm a hoarder sometimes. So I even have that evidence. I even have the newspaper article because I was so excited when Doctor Who came back in 1996. I have the article about Paul McGann being on Fox 5, Doctor Who. So if, let's just say, I didn't have any of the publications showing my love for Doctor Who, and if I didn't have Jim Hanley's Universe as a witness, people from Jim Hanley's Universe, or my friends of mine that worked in Jim Hanley's Universe, I have my own sister, my own family, my own children. Joseph was born in 1998. Anthony was born in 2000. They were young, and I was showing them Sylvester McCoy's Doctor. I was showing them Remembrance of the Daleks. I was showing them Battlefield. I was showing them the Happiness Patrol. As you know, in the Doctor Who community, I love the Candyman. I've always loved the Candyman. I always talked about that. And I got my kids into liking the Candyman and liking the Brigadier from Battlefield and Seventh Doctor before Doctor Who came back. Just like I got them into Godzilla before this MonsterVerse stuff. Old school Godzilla stuff. I got them into Star Wars. I got them into everything I was into. I got them into. Joe will come on here, and Anthony too, and tell you that they were watching Doctor Who before it came back in 2005. So how could you say I'm not a real fan? And see, this is the problem. This is why people want to create the narrative to fit their hatred towards me or their anger. They want to diminish my knowledge of Doctor Who or my connection to Doctor Who. So what better way to do that than to create a flat out blatant lie on Twitter that I am not as big of a Doctor Who fan as I say I am. And even Sharon's a witness that I've known her since the 80s, that I've loved Doctor Who and I was a Doctor Who nut. Right?
Yes.
So what kind of leg do you have to stand on, Geeks Assembled? Because here's the situation, right? Now that you went after me and attacked me on Twitter, you opened the door, right? So I respond, and people don't like it when I respond because I have a habit of responding a lot. So much so that people will know how much Geek Assembled fucked up today. They would know more about the fuck up of Geek Assembled than what Geeks Assembled is. Because I will remind them so much how Geeks Assembled is wrong, how they lied about me, and I will expose them now. And I have everything that I'm allowed to do this because they attacked me. And once you attack me, there is no limit to how many times I could answer you back. There's no limit to how many videos I could make. There's no limit to how many social media posts I could do or anything. So you entered this war between me and Tartar's Own Knoll. So now you have become part of that war. Because you tried to destroy with your post and you failed. And now is the time for me to retaliate and basically show like you really as an organization have no idea what you're talking about. Talking about me, where I'm going to make tons of videos and remind you of how you made a mistake and how you're wrong and how you're irrelevant in the community. I'm going to do that constantly. So I would suggest if you really know Matrixlord212, here's the thing. Rather than deal with that shit, okay, that you've opened that fucking door and that can of worms, the way to stop Matrixlord212 and his attention towards you First of all, the one thing that won't work is blocking, because then that would make things 1,000 times worse. So the thing to do that is, now that I've proven that you are wrong and you lied, all you have to do is, hi guys, we just made an error. It was brought to our attention, blah blah blah, and we are wrong about what we said about Matrixlord212. We realized the error of our ways, that he raised his children to be Doctor Who fans before Doctor Who came back. Common sense. And seeing old videos of interviews with his sister and his family members, and all his devotion to Doctor Who over the years, and pictures and different things. We don't know why we arrived to that conclusion, but we are wrong, and we are sorry, Matrixlord212. And we hope to rectify the situation and talk to you directly so we could piece the ways. That's all you got to do. And you're good. But you're not going to do that. And I know you're not man enough to do that. You're not going to do that. And if I'm wrong, I'll admit I'm wrong, but you're not going to do that. Because for some reason, there's someone in the Geeks Assembled that has hated me for a long time. And I don't know why. Maybe you don't like this face. Maybe you don't like that I was popular back then. Maybe you don't like that I was making money on YouTube faster than other people back then talking about Doctor Who. But there's that one person, Lee Wilson, that was friends with my friend Michael Shannon, that did not like me and worked overtime to try to make sure that I was not part of anything to do with Doctor Who fandoms. Sort of like that asshole that tried to keep Peter Capaldi out of the Doctor Who fandom. And Peter Capaldi was a huge fan. An asshole like that. So for some reason, over the years, he tried to be part of as many different Doctor Who pages as he could and try to keep me out of it through his influence. And block me and ban me and all that stuff. And he's done that even when I was friends with Michael Shannon. Okay? So, don't know what caused him to be an enemy, but from what I understand, he is the leader of Geeks Assembled. And from what I understand from current members, that's not the overall consensus of Geeks Assembled. That's just a consensus of the leader of Geeks Assembled. So people really don't want to get involved in that because they don't want to go against their group and they don't want to go against me. So Lee Wilson, contact me ASAP to discuss the matter, because you're the one that posted that, right? And I will be as calm and collected and professional as possible. I will put you on WhoFire. I will promote Geeks Assembled for you as a guest on WhoFire, because as a podcaster, I would like to ask you a lot of professional questions, and I will have to treat myself as third person to see what Matrixlord212 has done to society to generate that type of hatred and long-standing grudge and anger for over a decade. So I am open to that. I invite you to my WhoFire podcast. And I would hope that you could contact me as soon as possible. You don't have to necessarily do the podcast. You could talk to me directly, but we could talk off air too. But I would suggest it be done soon. You just tell me. Talk to me. So message me on Twitter. Message me, Oh, by the way, if anybody's messaging me on Facebook or Instagram, in case you didn't know, I am supposed to get a new phone. and I don't have enough memory. So I don't have that stuff on my phone, and a lot of times I've not been on my laptop because I've been gaming, so I don't know what messages have come through from Facebook or Instagram. But whenever I make videos, I have to delete apps. So I do have Twitter on my phone, and I do have TikTok and YouTube, but I do not have Facebook and I don't have Instagram. So try to send me a message on Twitter, DM, please. And that's a stupid thing to say. Don't, like, honestly, and I have to be a dick sometimes, but don't, like, if you don't know, don't talk shit like that. Like, you're gonna be embarrassed in seconds, and you're really so fucking embarrassed because, like, I could just bring my kids on here and they would tell you what a fucking idiot you are. Like, tell them talking about their childhood. So you're a fucking moron to say that statement. That's a fucking stupidest. That's like, oh, as a human being, you don't breathe. That's the dumbest fucking thing you could say, Lee Wilson from fucking Geeks Assemble. That's fucking stupid, bro. Please, don't be fucking stupid. Okay? That's dumb, bro. That's fucking dumb. That's the dumbest thing you could fucking say, bro. And again, here's the thing, and again, whatever reason you want to be an enemy, you're an enemy, fine, but you haven't been an enemy where you have personally attacked anybody that's my family or anything. So I don't see you as that type of enemy. So please don't get involved with the Tartar Zone, Noah Zone thing, because Noah's done that. Noah's directly attacked people in my family and things, and has done horrible things. So don't align yourself with that evil. Be the lesser evil, or if you're evil at all, just don't involve yourself with that. If you want to be an enemy of mine, I can't stop you, but don't be connected with that. Okay? Because that person is just, in his video, what he said recently, trying to get personal with me, I don't think his wife would like that either, by the way. So, like, that's just fucking crossing the line. But again, he's trash. Noah's trash. So, you want to be an enemy of mine, fine. Don't be connected with that shit. Be a separate thing. Even continue the Hooli and Two War if you want. But don't be connected with that asshole. Okay? There's levels of enemies. Right? That's like the worst enemy. The trash bag loser enemy. No. That's the biggest loser shit there is. Don't be connected with that asshole. Be separate thing. That person on a regular basis has tried to destroy me. That's my main public enemy #1 threat. Don't be connected with that. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed the Everything Show. And it's July 5th. And I'm going to try to go back to gaming. And I'm going to try to see, that's the whole thing. Now that I'm worried about this, it's going to be really hard for me to game when I just want to podcast. So it's going to be a struggle today. All right. Hope you enjoyed this video. And once again, Geeks Assembled is wrong. Geeks Assembled lied as an organization. They have no idea what they're talking about with Doctor Who with me. So I'm looking forward to that apology. Take care. Bye for now.